Okay guys, I thought I'd show you a few of my chili peppers. I'm going to string them up so they can dry. I've got a few things to show you. Process again is really simple. Got some gloves. Those are absolutely essential when you're dealing with peppers. I have some 25-pound test fishing monofilament line. That's what I use to string them up with. I already have one started here. I can show you what I've done so far. I have a rather large needle that I use, and it just so happens that the eye of that needle is just big enough to put 25-pound test monofilament fishing line through. So I also have a couple of coat hangers, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with those in a minute. So first things first, I'm going to group these together, like kind, and so I think I'm going to put all these banana peppers on one. So I'll measure out a little length here, double it, then cut it. I don't have scissors, but these small electrician's pliers will work. And as I'm finished stringing this line, I'll go ahead and cut so I can use the needle. Okay. So the long range plan here for these obviously is to dry them out, take 2 to 3 months, and when they're dried, then I plan on using an old blender and grinding them up. And so thread the needle, as you can see, do a couple of knots in this 25-pound test line. A couple will be sufficient. If you want to do more than that, that's fine, obviously. That seems to work okay though. So pretty simple. Just put your gloves on. You don't have to forget that at one time and you remember it. These are just sort of disposable gloves, and of course after you use them, try and push the needle through. They'll get holes in them. They won't be waterproof anymore, but as I say, the process is pretty simple. I just push it through near the stem cap. That stem cap will offer some support. So some people will alternate them top to bottom, side by side, just to make them look neat, I guess, and to save on space. But I like the strength that top cap gives. Pretty quick little process, so I'll do it as quickly as I can, at least this group. And some people dry them in the oven. I don't have to do that. I can just set them outside in the sunshine. Take them in when it's inclement weather. I said the time that it takes to dry them will vary, but no rush. I don't need to be in a rush. And this is my first picking of the peppers, and I pretty much left the hot ones, and I'll show you those in another video. May even get the opportunity to show you the little garden spot where they're growing. Planted peppers last year, and different varieties, and they didn't grow for some reason. I don't know. I've never had that problem. I had a few in a couple of raised beds, and the rest of them I had in different locations in my garden. And none of them in the garden space produced, which is unbelievable. I mean, you can see how absolutely prolific the plants are. As I said, this was a really brief picking. All those peppers, and they were loaded down. I mean, I actually was forced to pick them because the plants were bending. And I didn't want them to break off. So I went ahead and picked them. So as you can see, that's one grouping. And you can space them, depending on how you want to dry them. Obviously it'll be a little bit better if you can space them. They can get more air that way and dry faster. All I'll do is cut the needle or the monofilament line so I can get the needle off. And then you can tie that back together. Take those gloves off. I might get too much of that oil on my fingers. Just tie it off again. Just a couple of knots. Triple, quadruple, whatever works for you so that you feel good about it. Again, 25-pound test. You shouldn't have any problem with all. I didn't specifically choose the 25-pound. That's what I had available. And I'm sure you could use something a little bit lighter, but it depends on any peppers you're going to put on there. So what I plan to do with this group is hang them between the line on the clothesline, and that way, and there's obviously plenty of room. I don't use that clothesline very much anymore, and it'll serve a little purpose, and there's plenty of space. We'll see how that works. I think it'll work fine. Again, it gets sunlight most of the day. It'll be fine. And what I'm going to do, as I said, with the clothes hangers, is I'm just going to cut them in sections, and I'll just cut it right here and right here. And then of course you can just put it in between the line, put it on your clothesline and twist it. You can twist it by hand and it'll close it well enough. Or you can take some of the electrician pliers. And as I said, this is a small pair of electrician pliers. I've got a bigger pair, but I use these things a lot. They're heavy duty. Has a cutter in the middle, wide mouth, gets good grip on whatever you need to. Clothes hangers, they come in handy for just such as this. And that's how I'm going to do it. I'll just string it up between the lines, and again, they'll dry. I'll separate them out a bit so they will dry a little quicker. That's it. Hope that was helpful. There are a lot of different ways to do it, and that's just how I'm doing it. Big group of peppers there, and I'll let you know what happens in the end of the process, and show you how I'm going to grind them up and use them as seasoning. See you next time. Thanks. Hope it was helpful.